الحمد لله رب العالمين الحمد لله رب العالمين أحمده سبحانه وتعالى وأشكره وأثني عليه وأصلي وأسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا أما بعد. To proceed, praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who brought us here and united us with our brothers here at Masjid al-Wadih. In Cleveland, Ohio, to discuss a very important topic, the topic of حسن المعاشرة بين الأزواج والآداب المهمة للأسرة المسلمة. You have the importance of good dealings between the spouses, and all the important etiquettes for the Muslim family. For verily the affair of the community is that it is in reality nothing but a collection of families. It's nothing but a collection of families, and if the families are in a state of disrepair, probably just have to turn the volume down. If the families are in a state of disrepair, so will the community. The community will fall apart if the families fall apart, and especially the smaller the community is. And it is very important that the building block of the community, which are the families, consisting of the husbands and the wives and the children of those families, that they have a talahum fima baynahum, that they are in a state of cohesion and unity and i'tilaf and harmony between themselves. Otherwise, if the families fall apart, the community will fall apart. It was mentioned by Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala in the Quran 5 advices that are needed for the Muslim army to defeat any opponent, to defeat any rival army. And these advices don't just apply to an army upon the battlefield, but these are 5 things that, just as Ibn Qayyim rahimahullah ta'ala said about them in Kitab al-Furusiyya, that these advices, and if the army of the Muslims was to incorporate them, لَن يُغْلَبَ مِنْ قِلَّةٍ, they would never be defeated because of the fewness of their numbers. And likewise, we say about the Muslim family that lives in a world where the kuffar have put on a serious campaign and exerted a serious effort to change the belief systems of the people and the morality of the people. And if the brothers don't mind coming more this way, inshallah. I feel like I'm giving a lecture to just the children. And the kuffar have exerted a tremendous effort in the times in which we live to institute what they have called, and what our scholars have called, an-nidham al-alami al-jadid, and the New World Order, where every system that has ever existed for humanity of belief or governance or economics or morality or character or even the structure of the family is something that they viewed to be an obstacle in the path of human progress, that needed to be changed and needed to be flipped ra'sun ala aqib, to be flipped head over heels and supplanted and replaced with a new system of beliefs and a new system of morality and a new set of qiyam, values and principles And the destruction of the family unit was a part of that, and remains with them a part of that. And so the Muslim family, without a doubt, wherever they are in the world, they are faced with the challenges of al-ulama, the challenges of this globalist agenda, the agenda of the disbelievers, to stick their fingers into the brains of and the minds of the people and make them turn like puppets however they want them to turn, and behave however they want them to behave, and believe however they want them to believe. And this is something that in particular they have launched an angst against the Muslim communities and the Muslim nations around the world. And they have written about it in great detail in their research papers and their think tanks and their NGOs, their non-governmental organizations and the likes, have went to great lengths in speaking about these affairs and exerting a tremendous amount of effort into changing the values of the Muslim family, and changing the roles of the people in the Muslim family, and giving great importance to what is called tahrir al-mar'ah, liberating the woman, freeing the woman. And the reality of this affair of tahrir al-mar'ah, of freeing the woman, and is that they want to free her from her hijab, and they want to free her from her role in the society. And they say that the Muslims, by confining the woman to the home, as Allah has said, وَقَرْنَ فِي بُيُوتِكُنَّ, and remain in your homes, and stay close to your homes, adhere to your homes. And this affair, they say, is something that has caused the Muslims to not be able to benefit from one half of their society. They say a woman is a half of the society. We say the woman is the entirety of the society, because she is al-madrasatul ula. She is the first school and institution that the children pass through, and they get their belief system from, and they get their morality from, and they get their character from, and they get their esteem from, and they learn to love from, and they learn respect from, and they learn the structure and the order of things from. And if the behavior of the woman and the mentality of the woman and the ideas of the woman and the values of the woman are not inconsistent with the religion of Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala, then she will be a weapon of Iblis and a weapon of the kuffar to destroy the Muslim communities. And so without a doubt, these advices that Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala mentions in the Quran, that if a Muslim army was to incorporate, they would never be defeated because of the fewness of their numbers, it applies likewise to the Muslim family, to every member of the Muslim family, to the husband, to the wife or the wives, and to the children of the families. Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala, He said, Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu idha laqitum fi'atan fathbutu. O you who believe, when you encounter your opponent upon the field, when you encounter a rival faction, a rival army upon the field, fathbutu, then remain firm, be courageous, remain firm. Wadhkuru Allaha kathira, and remember Allah much and often, la'allakum tuflihun, so that you may be successful. Stay strong, be courageous, ash-shaja'ah wa-thabat. It's the first advice, that they are to be courageous and brave in the face of adversity. No matter what the mu'aradat are, no matter what the obstacles are, the aqabat upon the path, the hurdles that exist upon the path, and the things that they encounter. And no matter how great of a minority they may feel and how strange they may feel amongst a disbelieving majority, and the fact that they are people of Sunnah and Salafiyah, and they are an extreme minority. No matter how they feel and what is up against them, they remain courageous and brave, and they know that Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala is ma'al muhsineen wa ma'al muttaqeen. Allah is with the people of ihsan, And those people who worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala well, and those people who show kindness to the creation of Allah, and Allah is with the people of taqwa. So Allah said, when you meet your opponent upon the field, فَاثْبُتُوا وَاذْكُرُوا اللَّهَ كَثِيرًا لَعَلَكُمْ تُفْلِحُونَ. Be firm and remember Allah much and often so that you may be successful. وَأَطِيعُوا اللَّهَ وَالرَّسُولَ. And obey Allah and His Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Obey Allah and obey the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Without a doubt, if the Muslim family was to do this, these first three things, and they be courageous and brave and forbearing, no matter what the adversity that they face, and increase the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in their home, with the salat, and with the recitation of the book of Allah tabarak wa ta'ala, as the Salaf they used to say, لا يزال أمر هذه الأمة بخير, that the affair of this nation will never cease to be upon good. ما حفظ صبيانها كتاب ربها, so long as the children of this nation, of this Muslim community, are memorizing the book of their Lord subhanahu wa ta'ala. The remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is a hamul muhimmat, is the most important of affairs. The Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he said, as reported by Bukhari and others, he said, مثل البيت الذي يذكر الله والذي لا يذكر الله كمثل الميت والحي. That the example of the home that remembers Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, meaning the Muslim family that remembers Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the one that does not remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is like the example of the dead and the living. And a home that does not have the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, does not engage in the review and learning and studying of beneficial knowledge, and the recitation and memorization and understanding and contemplation over the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is a home that will perish. It is a home that is not built upon a correct foundation. Al-Imam al-Zuhri rahimahullah ta'ala, he said, Al-ilmu fihi na'ashu dunya wa deen. That knowledge contains na'ashu dunya wa deen, yani a rif'ah fi dunya wa deen. That knowledge contains that which causes people to be elevated and causes people to progress as regards their dunya and their deen. In reality, in the times in which we live, what people need to attend to take care of their families, financially and economically, and what people need to attend to their families before that religiously, is as such that the majority of the time of the Muslim family should be engaged in seeking some type of beneficial knowledge and attending to some type of scholastic discipline, Islamically and what is called secularly. And the word secular is not a correct word to say about non-religious knowledge, because the word secular is from the word, similar to the word scholar, and it's a word that is synonymous with knowledge. Just like in the Arabic language they call secularism ilmaniyah, from the word ilm, as though the knowledge of the religion is an ilm, as though the knowledge of the religion is an ilm. But the asl, it must be the seeking of beneficial knowledge, and it must be the seeking of beneficial knowledge, and in that way if people know how to deal with the affairs of the dunya, what is permissible as regards worldly knowledge, and what is impermissible. What is permissible as regards how we earn and spend our money, and what is impermissible. What is mandatory concerning the rights of the creation, and what is forbidden as regards dealing with the creation. And a person, they know how to deal with their neighbors, how to deal with their employers, how to deal with their classmates, how to deal with whoever they come across in the society, because they have the foundation of Islamic knowledge. So without a doubt, this advice of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, وَاذْكُرُوا اللَّهَ كَثِيرًا لَعَلَكُمْ تُفْلِحُونَ. Remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala much and often so that you may be of those who are successful. It's from the most important of affairs. It's from the most important of affairs that people busy themselves with the remembrance of Allah, and that they attend to the salah, and that they attend to the recitation of the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they attend to beneficial knowledge, the knowledge of the religion, and that which aids the people in establishing the religion of the knowledge of the dunya. As the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he said, الدنيا ملعونة ملعونة ما فيها إلا ما فيها من ذكر الله. الدنيا ملعونة ملعون ما فيها إلا ما فيها من ذكر الله وما ولاه. يعني يعان عليه يساعد عليه إلا ما فيها من ذكر الله وما ولاه. والعالم والمتعلم شريكان في الأجر. That this world is cursed and everything in it is cursed, meaning it is far from the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is cursed and everything in it is cursed except what exists in it of the remembrance of Allah, and what aids in the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Meaning of the affairs of the dunya, that are used to support the religion of Allah tabarak wa ta'ala. For verily, supporting the religion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is fardun ayn. It is compulsory upon every human being. Supporting this religion is mandatory upon every human being. To the point that the ulama of Islam, they say that the maqasid al-sharia khamsa, al-maqasid al-daruriyya, and the essential goals that the religion came to safeguard are 5 in number. And they are hifdhud deen, safeguarding the religion itself, meaning safeguarding al-aqaid wal-ibadat, safeguarding the belief system of the Muslims, and what we believe about Allah and about the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, the muqtadiyat of the shahadatain. Everything in aqidah, the ulama, they say, goes back to what is directly connected to the requirements of the shahadatain, of the statement La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. Safeguard the religion itself is the first thing, meaning the belief system of the Muslims and how they worship Allah. That they believe about Allah as Allah has informed us about Himself. And as the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam informed us about Allah tabarak wa ta'ala, and that we worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bima shara'ahu Allah, with that which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has legislated. And that we don't worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with that which has come from the opinions of men, has come from the visions and the dreams and hallucinations of the mystics, and has come from the philosophies that trace back to the kuffar and trace back ultimately to the shaitan. But we worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bima shara'ahu Allah. Now with what we believe is correct and appropriate, or what we believe may not be correct and inappropriate. But we worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala arad, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has willed, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has revealed. So this is the first affair. And the ulama, they say that the other 4 affairs from the 5 things that are the maqasid of the sharia, the goals of the sharia, that they are established, as the Shatibi said in al-Muwafaqat, that they are established to support and to safeguard the religion itself. And they are as follows: safeguarding human life, safeguarding the intellect, and from those things that are mufsidat, hissiya wa ma'nawiyya, safeguarding the intellect from those things that were corrupted, that are physical in nature and spiritual in nature, like intoxicants and alcohol and so on and so forth, and those things that are going to destroy the mind of the people, the tasawwurat and iradat and i'tiqadat of the people, and the beliefs and perceptions and aspirations of the people, and in a spiritual regard. And things like music, things like false entertainment, things like loving the dunya in a manner that is harmful to a person's religion. Anything of the sort, any type of concept or aspiration that destroys and ruins the intellect of the person and causes the person to be shahwani, causes the person to be a person of their lust and their desires, where when they approach an affair, they don't take a pause as a Muslim does, as a mu'min, the believer does. They take a pause when they are to engage in any affair where they don't know whether it is permissible or impermissible until they know the ruling of Allah and His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam as regards the affair. Everything that the Muslim engages in, he needs to know what is the ruling of that thing. What is the ruling of that thing? He knows as regards the things of the dunya, that the affairs of the dunya are all permissible, except for that which Allah has forbidden. And as regards the affairs of religion, that they are all impermissible. It's impermissible to do anything religiously until you know that Allah has revealed it. And so when they approach any affair, they look at what is the ruling of Allah and the Messenger ﷺ as regards the affair before they go forward. If they don't do that, then they are following their desires. And even if they're right, they're wrong. And if they don't know the ruling of the religion and they engage in the affair, and they didn't know whether it was correct or incorrect, even if they were correct in what they did, they were still sinning. Because they acted without knowledge. And so, the safeguarding of the mind of the person, the intellect of the person, from that which will corrupt it is from the goals of the religion. And it is established in order to safeguard the religion itself. It is established in order to safeguard the religion itself. For verily, the religion is the imam of the aql. The religion is the leader and the qa'id and the director of the intellect. And the intellect cannot move, not even a khutwah, not even a single step, until it knows the ruling of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as regards the affair that it is about to engage in. And its perception, and as much as the ulama they say that the aql alatu tamyiz, as was stated by Imam Ahmad rahimahullah ta'ala, يميز به بين النافع والضار والحسن والقبيح. That the function of the intellect is to distinguish between that which is beneficial and harmful, and that which is appropriate and inappropriate. By Allah can a person do that without knowing what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has legislated to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Is it the role of the intellect istiqlalan, independently, to come up with that? And if people were to do that, they would never cease to differ. There would never be any harmony. What every person thought is beneficial and harm would differ with what every other person thought. And it would be relative to their situation, it would be relative to their demographic, it would be relative to their background and their upbringing and so on and so forth. But rather Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and He has revealed that which the intellect would never say. And He was stated by an Arab, as was stated by one of the Arab, one of the Bedouins in the early generations, when they asked him, لِمَ دَخَلْتَ الْإِسْلام? Why did you enter into Islam? And he said, لأن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم لم يأمر بأمر فقال العقل ليته نهى عنه. Because the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم never ordered us with anything to which the intellect said, if only he had forbidden that thing. وما نهى عن أمر فقال العقل ليته أمر به. And he never and he never forbade a thing to which the intellect said, if only he had ordered that thing. And so what has come in the religion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is that which will strengthen the intellects of the people. How many times we find in the book of Allah tabarak wa ta'ala, إِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ لَآيَاتٍ لِأُولِي الْأَلْبَابِ إِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ لَآيَاتٍ لِأُولِي النُّهَى. And indeed in that are clear signs for the people of intelligence. Indeed in that are clear signs for the people of intellect and the likes of these affairs. And so the reality of the affair is that the intellect he is in place to safeguard the religion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the people, they are to strengthen their minds and they are to use their minds as regards those affairs where there is ishtibah, as regards where there is ambiguity concerning the best course of affairs. And there are things that are clear cut that the religion has come with. And there are things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has ordered us to have mutual consultation with those that are qualified to take consultation with as regards. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He said, وَأَمْرُهُمْ شُورَى بَيْنَهُمْ. And He said subhanahu wa ta'ala, فَاعْفُ عَنْهُمْ وَاسْتَغْفِرْ لَهُمْ وَشَاوِرْهُمْ فِي الْأَمْرِ وَإِذْ عَزَمْتَ فَتَوَكَّلْ عَلَى اللَّهِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He said, and the entirety of their affairs and it is carried out with mutual consultation between them. Meaning those things that it is ambiguous. What is most beneficial, what is most advantageous for an individual or for a family or for a community, about business or trade or the likes of those sorts of things, or about a woman to marry, or about a person any to befriend and those sorts of things, you need to ask people who know the reality of those affairs. And take consultation with who? With the uqala, with the people of intellect. With the people of intellect. To the point it was stated by Al-Uqayl, as was stated by Abdullah bin al-Mubarak rahimahullah ta'ala, reported by Ibn Hibban al-Busti in Rawdat al-Uqala. He said, وَسَمِعْتُ عُقَيْلًا يَقُولُ, I heard Abdullah bin al-Mubarak, he said, I heard Uqayl say, when he was asked, مَا أَفْضَلَ مَا عُطِيَ الْمَرْءِ بَعْدَ الْإِسْلَامِ, and what is the greatest thing that a person can be given after Islam? Or what is the greatest thing that a person can have? And he said, عَقْلٌ غَرِيزٌ, the best thing that a person can have, meaning after being guided to Islam, is to have an innate intelligence, and to have a naturally strong mind. قِيلَ فَإِن لَمْ يَكُنْ, it was said, what if he doesn't have a naturally strong mind? He said, فَأَدَبٌ حَسَنٌ, and he's in good character, because good character is a sign of intelligence. What if he doesn't have natural intelligence? He said, فَأَدَبٌ حَسَنٌ, then good character, good mannerisms about himself. قِيلَ فَإِن لَمْ يَكُنْ, it was said, and what if he doesn't have that? قَالَ فَأَخٌ صَالِحٌ يَسْتَشِيرُهُ, so the best thing he can have is a righteous brother to seek consultation from. And he, meaning somebody who is intelligent, who can help him safeguard and protect his religion. He could take consultation from that person so that he doesn't fall into ar-rada' wal-halak. He doesn't fall into ruin and destruction. And because he himself may not be wrapped too tight. He himself may not be the smartest person. But he knows. And he knows that he doesn't know. And there are some people, they don't know and they know that they don't know. They don't know, they don't have knowledge, and they know that they don't know. فَذَلِكَ جَاهِلٌ فَعَلِّمُهُ. Khalil ibn Ahmed al-Farahidi, he said that person is ignorant, so teach him. And there are some people, لَا يَدْرِي وَلَا يَدْرِي أَنَّهُ لَا يَدْرِي. They don't know and they don't know that they don't know. فَذَلِكَ أَحْمَقٌ فَحْضَرُوهُ. And that person is an idiot, so stay away from them. Right? But the person, he knows that he doesn't know. He knows that he's not very intelligent. He knows what his background was. And he knows what Allah has given him and hasn't given him of intellect. And so he seeks consultation with the uqala. And when he does that, it is like he is coupling their minds with his mind. And when he reaches out to the intelligent people and has a ta'awun ala al-birr wa taqwa, upon righteousness and piety, cooperating upon what is good and advantageous with the people of intelligence, it is like, it is a gathering of the minds, an assembly of the minds. And it's like he has multiple pairs of eyes, multiple sets of ears. He is benefiting from the experiences of others. He is benefiting from the intellects of others and the knowledge and understanding of others. قِيلَ فَإِن لَمْ يَكُنْ. So what if he doesn't have that? What if he doesn't have a strong intellect? What if he doesn't have what? Good character. What if he doesn't have what? A righteous brother. A good brother that he can seek for counseling, that he can get counseling from. قِيلَ فَإِن لَمْ يَكُنْ. So what if he doesn't have that? He said, فَصَمْتٌ طَوِيلٌ. He said the best thing he can have is to know how to shut up for a long period of time. Stay silent. Frequently. And be quiet. Right? Because if a person doesn't have any of those things, and if he doesn't have good advisors, good brothers around him who are advising him for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he doesn't have good character, and he doesn't have a strong mind, the best thing he can do is be quiet and not hurt other people with his tongue. That's what the Prophet ﷺ mentioned. And he talked about the different abwab of khair, the different doorways of good. And if a person, he said, what if somebody doesn't have the ability to do any of those things? He said, فَيَدَعَ النَّاسَ مِنْ شَرِّهِ. He said, then he spares the people of his evil. If he can't be of any benefit to the community, at least he doesn't harm. The least that a person can do, as regards himself and his family and his community, is not be a detriment to them, not be a harm to them. قِيلَ فَإِن لَمْ يَكُنْ. So what if he doesn't have that? What if he doesn't have a strong mind? What if he doesn't have good character? What if he doesn't have good people who can advise him who are intelligent? What if he doesn't have the ability to shut up? قِيلَ فَإِن لَمْ يَكُنْ. What if he doesn't have those things? قَالَ فَمَوْتٌ عَاجِلٌ. He said that an immediate death is the best thing that he can have. Die quick. The best thing that he can have. Right? Because every day that he lives thereafter, he will be getting farther from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he will be incurring any destructive affairs to himself. And so the intellect is established, and it must be safeguarded for the preservation of the religion. It must be safeguarded and preserved for the preservation of the religion. The ulama, they say, after the preservation of the religion, the preservation of life, the preservation of the intellect, they say is the preservation of a nasl, the preservation of the lineage, of the family itself, the preservation of the family itself. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has legislated what He has legislated of huquq and mushtarika wa huququn khasa, and He have shared rights between the spouses. My man. And He has shared rights between the spouses. And He had particular rights, and that are for each of the spouses, and for the husband towards the wife, or for the wife towards the husband, to safeguard the family structure. And because safeguarding the family structure is the safeguarding of the community and the safeguarding of the religion. And the fifth thing is the safeguarding of wealth. The safeguarding of wealth. Because without wealth, a person cannot have a family. Without wealth, a person cannot safeguard his mind. Without wealth, a person cannot safeguard his life. Without wealth, a person cannot safeguard his life. And a person, because they're poor, and a sense of living in a safe area with their children and being in a safe environment with their children, they have to live in a very dangerous housing project. And it is from the most tragic and sad of affairs when we have to bury the children of the Muslims, who die in some of the most tragic ways. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala helped the Muslims understand, as was said about Abu Darda, rahimahullah ta'ala, min fiqh al-rajul al-muslim, ma'rifatuhu ma'ishatah. And from the fiqh, from the religious understanding of the Muslim man, is knowing how to earn his keep. And having a ma'isha, having meaning a livelihood. Having a livelihood. As was said about Abdullah ibn al-Mubarak, he said, كُنَّا نَعُدُّ أَفْضَلَ الْعَمَالَ الْكَسْبُ مِنَ الْحَلَالِ وَالْإِنفَاقُ عَلَى الْعِيَالِ. That we used to count as the best of deeds to earn your money from the halal and to spend it upon your dependents. It is imperative upon the people to understand that it is from the safeguarding and preservation of the religion that we have a good means of employment for ourselves and gainful employment for ourselves to support our communities and to protect our families. Ala kulli, the ulama, they say that all of these things are in place to safeguard the religion itself, to safeguard the belief system and the ahkam and the rulings of the religion of Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala. Ibn Qayyim rahimahullah ta'ala, he said, هذا ونصر الدين فرض لازم لا للكفاية بل على العيان باليد وإما بلسان وإن عجزت فبالتوجه ودعا بجنان. Ibn Qayyim rahimahullah ta'ala, he said that supporting the religion is an obligation. It's not an obligation upon some people in the community. It's not a community obligation that is obligatory upon some people. And if some people do it, the responsibility is removed from others. بَلْ عَلَى الْعَيَانِ. But the support of the religion is the responsibility of every Muslim. بِالْيَدِ وَإِمَّا بِلِسَانٍ وَإِنْ عَجَزْتَ فَبِالتَّوَجُّحِ وَالدُّعَى بِجَنَانٍ. Either with the hand, meaning with physical strength and power, and with wealth. Wealth is required to establish the religion. It was stated by Abdullah ibn al-Mubarak and by Fudail ibn Iyad, as was mentioned by Ibn Battah and Al-Ibanat al-Kubra, that they said, Allahumma la taj'al li sahibi bid'atin indi yadan fayuhibbuhu qalbi. Oh Allah, never let an innovator have the opportunity to have a hand over me, meaning where I am in need of what they have of wealth. And it is an aib upon the people of Sunnah that they would have to reach their hands out to the mubtadi'ah, to the innovators who are at war with the Sunnah, and who mock the Sunnah, and who mock the people of the Sunnah, and who hate the ulama of the Sunnah. And they said, oh Allah, never allow the person of innovation to have a hand over me, lest that my heart should start to love him. Lest that my heart should start to love him. This is what was mentioned likewise by Al-Laka'i, rahimahullah ta'ala, in the introduction to Sharh Usul I'tiqad Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. He said, rahimahullah ta'ala, he said that innovation never spread except bi sultanin qahir أو شيطان معاند, except by a strong ruler, a powerful ruler who spread it by the sword, or by a shaitan that was mu'anid, a stubborn devil, يدعو إلى بدعته في الخفية, calling to his innovation in private, and misleading the people, until he said about the ruler, he said, or the ruler, the people with authority, drawing the hearts of the people with their wealth, tempting the hearts of the people with their wealth. This was mentioned likewise by Ibn al-Jawzi, that in the time of fitna, that the only people who were saved and safe and protected from fitna from the people of knowledge, when the people of authority became innovators, were those people who had enough wealth to protect themselves from fitna, and those people who were able to be patient with poverty. When the money dried up, because it is the responsibility of the Muslim state to support the scholars and the students of knowledge. And when the dawla when the authority became for the people of innovation, the scholars, if they didn't have money, they had to be patient. Or the scholars would start, or the rulers who were upon bid'ah, they would start to cause their hearts to incline towards them with their money. You get a pocket full of dollars, some Kuwaiti dinars, and you get some wealth in your pocket, and from the Jami'iyat Hizbiyah, from the different charitable organizations from the Hizbiyin and societies of the Hizbiyin and so on and so forth, that they set up to call to their innovations. And then we've seen it over the years, that people taking money from the innovators, and next thing you know, I'm having a change of heart. I never saw things the way I'm seeing them now. I have a different filter that he's looking through, and it's green. It's a green filter. He's looking at things through a different lens, and his heart has been tempted with wealth. So the people of the Sunnah, they have to understand, they have to spend for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that supporting the religion and supporting the da'wah is a community obligation, and they are to raise their children and spend their wealth and strengthen their minds for the sake of pushing the religion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forward. So going back to the statement of Allah tabarak wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He said, "Oh, you believe, when you meet your opponents upon the field, your enemy upon the field, fathbutu, and be firm, be courageous, and remember Allah much and often so that you may be successful." Remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala so that you may be successful. And the remembrance of Allah is everything in the religion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we were saying the statement of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the dunya is cursed, and everything in it is cursed except what is found in it of the remembrance of Allah, وَمَا وَاللَّهُ, and that which aids a person, that which contributes to the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, meaning that which is used from the dunya. A person uses his wealth, and he raises his children, and he educates the people, and he uses whatever is in his capacity, and of intellect and experience, or wealth, and his family, and so on and so forth, to move the religion forward. وَالْعَالِمُ وَالْمُتَعَلِّمُ شَرِكَانِ فِي الْأَجْرِ, and the scholar and the student of knowledge who share in the reward. The scholar and the muta'allim, and the one who is learning the religion, and the students of knowledge are, as Shaykh Muhammad al-Imam, he said, they are the barid bain al-ulama wa bain al-jaliyat. They are the ambassadors between the scholars and between the communities. And they have a very important role. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help the students of knowledge and make us all from the students of knowledge. And it was stated by some of the Salaf, as mentioned by Ibn Abdul Barr and Jami' Bayan al-Ilm wa Fadlihi. He said that some of the Salaf, they said, kun aliman, be a scholar. فَإِن لَمْ تَسْتَطِعْ فَكُن مُتَعَلِّمًا. Be a scholar. If you don't have the ability, then be a student of knowledge. And if you don't have the ability, وَإِن لَمْ تَسْتَطِعْ, and if you don't have the ability, فَلَا تُبْغِضْهُمَا. Now don't hate the scholars and the students of knowledge. Right? Don't be a hater. Don't hate the scholars and the students of knowledge when they call to the khair, and they warn from the shar, and they call to the sunnah, and they warn against the bid'ah, and they connect the people with the scholars past and present, and they warn the people against the pretenders to knowledge past and present from the people of innovation. don't hate the scholars and don't hate the students of knowledge. But be from those people that uses whatever is in your capacity to move the religion forward. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He said, and obey Allah and His Messenger so that you may be successful. وَأَطِيعُوا اللَّهَ وَرَسُولَهُ, and obey Allah and His Messenger. وَلَا تَنَازَعُوا فَتَفْشَلُوا وَتَذْهَبَ رِيحُكُمْ, and do not differ with one another, lest that you become futile and lose your strength. And this without a doubt is from the most important advices for the Muslim family. After being strong and courageous and brave, no matter how great of a minority they are in their environment, and after attending to the remembrance of Allah and beneficial knowledge and the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and using what they have in their disposal to support that, and after being from those that obey Allah and His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam and refer all of their affairs back to Allah and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He said, and do not differ with yourselves. لا تنازعوا, do not argue, do not fight with one another. It was stated by the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, a hadith reported by Tirmidhi and others, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, إن الشيطان قد أيس أن يعبده المصلون في جزيرة العرب. The shaitan has despaired of ever being worshipped by those who perform their salats, who perform their prayers in the Arabian Peninsula. ولكن في التحريش بينكم, but rather he wishes to cause tahrish between you. Al-Baghawi rahimahullah ta'ala, he said, التحريش إلقاء الخصومة والخشونة بينهم, that the meaning of a tahrish, of causing animosity and hostility between them, is causing them to debate and argue with one another and deal with one another abrasively and harshly. This is the meaning of a tahrish. It is أعظم مطمع الشيطان. It is the greatest expectation of the shaitan to be able to destroy the Muslim community. Look at the statement of the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, إِنَّ الشَّيْطَانِ وَضَعَ عَرْشَهُ عَلَى الْمَاءِ. Indeed, the shaitan يَضَعُ عَرْشَهُ عَلَى الْمَاءِ ثُمَّ يَبْعَثُ سَرَيَاهُ. Hadith reported by Muslim and others, that indeed the shaitan placed his throne upon water. ثُمَّ يَبْعَثُ سَرَيَاهُ. And then after that, he sends out his minions, he sends out his troops, he sends out his armies, his saraya, and his troops. He said, the Prophet ﷺ, he said, فَأَدْنَاهُمْ إِلَيْهِ مَنْزِلَةً أَعْظَمُهُمْ فِتْنَةً. And those that the shaitan brings closest to him, and those of the shaitan, and he gives rank to, those of shaitan holds to be the closest of his army to him, are those that cause the greatest fitna in the earth. Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah ta'ala, he said, most people cannot begin to fathom the nature of a devil. The nature of a devil. And there are some people who have the natures of devils. Some people even in the Muslim communities who have the natures of devils, who have akhlaqiyat, sulukiyat, shaytaniyah, satanic behavior of al-hiqdu, wal-hasad, wal-shamata, gloating over the misfortunes of people, at-tarabbus, lil-furas, إلقاء العداوة, and waiting for the opportunity to strike, waiting for people to fail, and having jealousy, having spite, holding grudges, these sorts of things. The ulama, they call them ذنوب شيطانية, حب الخلاف, حب الفتنة. Some people, and this is something people have to be careful of growing up in the West, and he love controversy. And if there is not some type of controversy, they're not happy. They're not happy unless there's some type of fitna. They're not happy unless something is failing. And they call it the slave mentality. And where the slaves used to be pit against one another. And anytime somebody would make any type of progress, they would be pulled down or they would be hated. And they call it crabs in a barrel. So if you put crabs in a barrel, they said they would be able, if they work together, to get out of the barrel. If the crabs work together, and they hand in hand or hook and hook with, what we call the hand of a crab, the claw, right? Claw and claw. The crabs work together, claw and claw. They will probably be able, some of them will probably be, if not all of them, be able to get out of the barrel, right? Especially because they can hook onto one another, so on and so forth, right? But they say that when crabs are in a barrel, what do? They pull each other down. Satanic behavior. Abu Sulaiman al-Khattabi rahimahullah ta'ala, he said, and you find many people, if not most people, يُحِبُّونَ الْخِلَافِ. They love khilaf. They love to differ. As though the most meritorious of affair and the most virtuous of behavior is never to agree with anyone for any reason. To the point that if a person changed their viewpoint, he said, if a person changed their viewpoint to compromise with them, they would change their mind just to differ with them. If you said, okay, I give up, I give in, right? Leave the sunnah for their bid'ah. Leave Islam for their kufr, right? Leave obedience for their disobedience. I give in. Okay, I give up. They change their mind just to oppose you. Because they never want to be united with anyone. And they think that they are sufficient for themselves. They are self-sufficient. The point is that hubb al-khilaf is that loving differing is a satanic quality, is a destructive quality. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, those that are closest to the shaitan in level are those that causes the greatest fitna. And we said Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah ta'ala, he said that a person cannot begin to understand the mentality of a devil or the mind of a devil, or how a devil is. A devil is not like any other creature. Any creature, when it commits a madarrah or dhulm, an animal can commit dhulm. We know on the Day of Judgment, that the judgment between mankind will not be established حتى يقتص, until the shat al-qarna, until the shat al-jalha gets al-qasas from a shat al-qarna. The sheep that has one horn or no horn will get retribution from a sheep that has two horns. Sheep butt heads, right? And the rams butt heads, right? So animals can oppress one another. But when they do so, there is some type of threat, perceived threat, right? They think that they're protecting themselves from some type of perceived threat. So they're warding off. They do what they do, لِدَرْءِ الْمَفْسَدَةِ. To remove some type of perceived harm from themselves, or to get some type of perceived benefit for themselves. He said, except for a devil. He said, a devil, the shayateen يَتَلَذَّذُونَ بِالشَّرِّ وَالْفِتْنَةِ. They enjoy fitna, controversy, fitna, khilaf, differing, so on and so forth. They find pleasure in it. They find pleasure in it. To the point that Ibn Qayyim rahimahullah ta'ala, he said that there are some human beings who have that nature. He said that their nature is like the nature of a snake or a scorpion. A snake or a scorpion, he said these hayawanat dhawat as-sumum. He said in Madarij al-Salikin that there are some creatures, the poisonous creatures, if they retain their poison, if they hold their poison too long without injecting it in something else, their body starts to heat up and they start to feel pain. He said they start to feel pain and they start to become upset like a man who needs to release. Like a man who needs to release. Right? Like that. There's a PG version. Right? Like a man who needs to release. And he becomes unmannerable and upset with his wife and so on and so forth. Right? He said, and when they inflict harm upon others, they feel pleasure. They feel pleasure from inflicting harm upon others. And this is the nature of a devil. So we have to be careful as regards to tanazur. Some people, their tarbiyah, the way that they grew up, the way that they were raised, is to love to bicker, to love to differ, to love to argue, arguing just for the sake of arguing. And at the end of the day, we see its destructive effect upon the families in the Muslim community. You thought, somebody was just playing. You thought somebody was just, Ibn Hibban al-Busri rahimahullah ta'ala, he mentioned this in the beginning of Rawdat al-Uqala, rahimahullah ta'ala. He said it is not from the ways of the intelligent person and yukhifa sadiqah, to frighten his friend. Some people, they think, there's some people that are like that, right? You see some brothers, they came to Islam, but they had years in the streets, so on and so forth. Every time you see them, just jokingly, every time you say something they don't like, they threaten to knock you out, they threaten to do this. the shadow boxing with you, so on and so forth. It's like, chill out, cuz. I mean, why every time I say something to you talking about slapping me? You know what I'm saying? I'll slap you in the mouth. Oh, that's nice, alhamdulillah. And some people, they joke too much, they play too much. And then they like to argue, and they like to bicker and to differ, and so on and so forth. People have to be careful because it can become malevolent. Some people do it out of just to play, and that's different. But some people do it maliciously. Some people, in their home, they are tyrants. And then with the rest of the people, they're as humble as an ostrich, right? And so this is a serious affair. The affair of a tanazu'. What did Allah say? وَلَا تَنَازَعُوا فَتَفْشَلُوا وَتَضْعَبَ رِيحُكُمْ. Do not differ with one another, lest that you fall into a state of fashal, into a state of futility. وَتَضْحَبَ رِيحُكُمْ. And lose your strength. Because strength is in what? Strength is in unity. Strength is in unity, and not unity for the sake of unity, unity upon the truth. And we're trying to build our families upon a foundation that will lead them to the Jannah. It was stated, the scholars, they mentioned that there was a man in the early generations that had 11 sons. Said he had 11 sons, and who were beneath the age of puberty. They were beneath the age of puberty, and he was sick and he was dying. He was upon his deathbed. And he brought them together, and he told each of his 11 sons to go get a stick. Go get a stick. Go get a stick. Go get a stick. Right? Muhammad al-Awwal, go get a stick. Muhammad al-Thani, Muhammad al-Thalith. There's some Arabs, they do that, right? They name their kids, and there will be 3 Muhammads, 4 Abu Bakrs, 3 Alis, and like that. Allahu Akbar. Right? Muhammad 1, Muhammad 2, Muhammad 3. Got 3 sons named Muhammad. Like Sheikh Rabi'. Right? And you find some people, ala kullin. So he told his sons, his 11 sons, go get sticks. They went and got the sticks and they broke them one by one. He said, break them. They broke them. One after another after another. And he told them, go get 11 more sticks. He said, put them all together. Put them all together. Bind them all together. He said, now break them. Give your greatest effort to break them. And they couldn't break them. And so strength lies in unity. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala cautioned the Muslim families from arguing and differ amongst themselves. And sometimes the man, he has to eat humble pie. Sometimes the sister has to know to shut up. And it was something that was the advice that used to be given by some of the Salaf to their daughters at the time of marriage. One of them, he said, I advise you with what I advise your mother with over the years. That whenever you see me angry, shut up. Don't talk to me when I'm upset. When I'm upset, don't talk to me. Go somewhere else. Why are you going to exacerbate the problem? Why are you going to fan the flames and fuel the fire? And so the affair of a tanazu', and he is one of the most destructive affairs for the Muslim family. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he said, do not differ with one another, lest that you become futile and lose your strength. وَاصْبِرُوا إِنَّ اللَّهَ مَعَ الصَّابِرِينَ. And be patient. Indeed, Allah is with the patience. Indeed, Allah is with those who have patience. And so the advice that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave, and that is the advice that if the Muslim family was to implement it, they would not be defeated. And he is the same advice that was given to the Muslim army. It's the same advice that was given to the Muslim army, and it applies to the entirety of the societies of the Muslims and the communities and the cities of the Muslims. And that the people are to be strong and firm, and they're to engage in the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they're to obey Allah and His Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and they're not to differ with one another so long as they are humanly possible. And they are to be patient. And they are to be patient with that. Tayyib. Inshallah, we'll take a short break and continue maybe in about half an hour. We got plenty of time between now and Asr, huh? About 2 hours, right? So we'll pause for about half an hour, inshallah. نمضي إن شاء الله continue. طيب. هذا وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم.